Welcome to the Dad Pod.
Welcome to the Dad Pod.
Pod.
Welcome to folks to the Dad Pod, formerly the Flashquotes podcast. Welcome to the Flashquotes Pod, the best podcast on the internet for mobile event businesses and mobile event entrepreneurs. We are here, delighted to have Austin with us today. Is it Massey? Is that your last name?
Yep.
The Austin Massey from Elgin, Illinois.
Elgin.
Elgin? Oh my gosh. Restart. All right, from Elgin. I just say Chicago. I tried to go for Elgin.
And it's Viator is how you say.
Viator. Yeah, I got that one. Come on, man. Cool. I knew that.
Yeah.
All right. From Viator Coffee. One of the earliest Flashquotes members and a friend of ours, somebody who's been extremely helpful on our journey of working on the product, and I think we've hopefully been able to reciprocate that in helping with their business. But yeah, excited to have you, Austin. I was mentioning before we started here that you guys are a little bit different. We've had people that have wanted to start coffee shops and went to coffee carts first and just sort of said, hey, I'm going to stick with this, and it's working well, and really gone down that path. Y'all started with coffee carts with a vision of shops, but then you actually made that happen as well along the journey and kind of have the symbiotic relationship between both of those. Maybe you could take us back to the start. You know, what was on your mind? What even was the impetus for saying, hey, I want to be in this world of coffee? And what made you think, okay, the cart is going to be the place to start, but we want to have a brick and mortar someday?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've actually worked in coffee specifically for almost 20 years, probably like 17, 18 years. I started right after high school so I'm 37 now, but it's like 2009. Got a job at Starbucks, worked there for a few years and really fell in love with it. The community aspect, the opportunity to serve people really well and create this experience for guests, and coffee was super interesting and fun. So there's that scientific element to it too. But yeah, just kind of fell in love with this craft of it and was like, all right, this is it. I think I want to open my own coffee shop and do this thing. Fast forward, 10 or 12 years. I'm originally from Alabama, but I moved to Chicago area, went to school here for hospitality, graduated with that and that degree. And through just kind of my natural network and stuff like that, I met an investor who was interested in startups and stuff and wanted to hear me out. So I, labored over this business plan for a few months, put together this 40-page business plan with all these numbers and metrics and put my heart and soul into it. And, after a couple revisions and, all right, take this out, change that, do this, he ended up passing on it either way. But, so I'm all discouraged about it. But I was talking with a friend in San Diego who is super connected with small businesses out there and was like, yo, you should try kind of this mobile coffee cart thing. There's, he had looked at what's available in Chicago and there wasn't really that many options, especially for more private events, weddings. There's some big trade show level, they're doing nationwide trade shows and stuff like that based out of Chicago, but that was kind of it, and so I was like, this is kind of a unique opportunity. I've already built out the business plan. I can just kind of shrink my numbers by a tenth, and go that route. So I had a friend of mine that was willing to go to a bank with me, and that was the start of it. It's all history from there.
At what point in time is this? Place us
for so this is about 2018.
Okay. And so 09 was the Starbucks love of coffee. That was a long duration. But when you went for hospitality, were you always thinking hey, this is what coffee I'm going shops. For? Okay.
Yeah. I was always, it was even in 2018, I was I'm going to start a kind of change things to do this mobile coffee cart thing, but always with the end goal of doing a cafe. And yeah, so was like, it's not a means to an end, but it's more of just like a way to self-fund
Yeah.
kind of this bigger picture dream of mine to do this cafe. So
Wow. How
yeah,
did you keep the fire in the belly for 9 years of just studying and like, did you
yeah. I
ever
mean, I
did you ever
worked at,
second guess it, or 2018 came around, you're like, this is the time?
it was kind of always like in the back of my head of like, I mean, I had like worked in multiple restaurants in that time. I did a lot of like music and like some touring and stuff like that. So it was kind of just like, do I want to be a full-time musician and go that route, or do I want to go like really press into the coffee side of things? And looking at it now, I feel like I'm glad that I waited. I had the drive and the determination, but I still had a lot to learn. I feel like if I had, this random happenstance, just opportunity to do a coffee shop, even back then, even though I really loved coffee and all of that, I was not skilled enough to like take it on from just like a business mind, financial, savviness to like understand, what the heck I was doing. So I would have driven it straight into the ground. So just perfect timing, the stars aligned when they did. And um, yeah.
Yeah, kind of reminds me. You haven't heard it yet because we just recorded it yesterday. But Daniel and I recorded a podcast yesterday about career trajectories and
Mm,
how sometimes it takes like 10 years, 8 or 10 years before you get like actually do the thing that you kind of always wanted to do. But that's okay because it takes that long to sometimes to build up the skill set and get the reps and the
for
life
sure.
experience that you need to be successful, especially if you're trying to start a business.
Oh yeah. Yeah, dude, it's like super like timely that you're just recording that, and that's
Mhm.
literally my entire story is just like, all right, if I had gotten this opportunity anytime sooner, like it would have blown up. And
Mhm.
like, so that's
Yeah.
cool.
So the business plan was to start a coffee shop or one shop or a chain of shops or something in Chicago.
My original like vision was probably like two or three shops, a roastery, and coffee carts were still an aspect of that. After I had kind of shrunk down
Mhm.
my original business plan to go in the like coffee cart self-funding coffee shop kind of route, I like shifted my whole focus was like, all right, coffee carts are pretty genius. There's not a lot of
Mhm.
competition out in this area, blah, blah, blah. And, so I knew that coffee carts were going to be a part of our future um, at that point, but still wanted to do cafes and always wanted to get into the roasting side. That was always super interesting too.
I think we'll dig in a second to like how you grew from coffee cart to shops and all this other stuff. But I'm very curious about the pitch that you said you poured your blood, sweat, and tears into, how that meeting went with that investor,
Hmm.
what he said to you, why he passed on it, and because it sounds like
Hmm.
what he passed on is what Viator became, and it's now it's like a thriving
Hmm.
coffee business in Chicago. So what did he say? What was he right about in his criticism, or what was he wrong about? And how did you kind of internalize that and decide, I'm still going to do this? It's still a good idea.
Yeah. I think my first like pitch was a coffee concept that, and like it was more of a full scale, like it was like a coffee shop, but also there was a more built out food program. I wanted to do like my wife and I are both artists and musicians, so I was like, let's do some live music, let's do like a full like artist like almost like co-working spaces or like studio spaces for rent, all this like a lot more risky stuff. If I like we aren't in we're in the suburbs, like not downtown Chicago. So it's like maybe downtown Chicago could work, but I don't know if we had the clientele for all of that, you know. And it was kind of an undeveloped area. So I mean there was a downtown uh area, but nothing like this was could really be seen for an example or get, any kind of metric of success or proof of concept for something like this. So it was, I mean, rightfully so, I think a little more risky in his mind. And, I'm glad that now I can say I'm glad he turned it down because it kind of forced me to go back to the drawing board a little bit and rethink everything, and the coffee carts were definitely like the right way to go, for me. So
That's
Yeah.
cool. Yeah, I feel like there's this theme in a lot of journeys and art and all sorts of stuff where the limitations are actually like operating under specific limitations actually is a forcing function that can end up creating something really beautiful and magical, and like in retrospect it's like that's exactly how it should have worked, right? And so
hmm
you had access to this investor, he could have said yes, and you could have had all this cash and then had this crazy thing that maybe there wasn't a product market fit for in the suburbs where you were. Instead, you had this forcing function of no, essentially, and it's like, okay,
hmm
well now what am I going to do with it? And it's a return to the drawing board. It's a vast simplification and a scale down,
hmm
but that, I mean, it seems like that journey was actually what allowed you to build the business acumen to feel like you could even start the shop in a way that you couldn't
hmm
have otherwise. Is that kind of
Yeah.
what your experience has been there?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, a lot of my journey, I feel like even as an entrepreneur, business owner, is very like uh trial and error and like learn as you're going and not not like fake it till you make it, but a little bit, just kind of like, all right, I haven't been in this situation before. I don't know how to handle this. And sometimes things have to break to learn how to fix them and do them better the next time. And just keep moving on and learn from those mistakes and grow from it and then don't do them again.
How did you feel when he said no? Like you built a 40-page doc. That's before ChatGPT, people. Like that's probably
hmm
weeks of work, and like you said, you put
Oh,
your blood,
yeah.
sweat, and tears into it, reworked
hmm
it, and it
Yep.
finished with a no. I mean, like how do you pick yourself back up from that?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it was definitely like super discouraging and like, oh man, is this even the right thing? Do I want to really even pursue this? Should I just go back to the drawing board and get, a normal 9 to 5 kind of office job? And yeah, I had, like I mentioned earlier, I was chatting with my friend in San Diego that was aware of like some coffee companies out in San Diego that had done similar things where they started as a coffee cart and grew and scaled it to where they had coffee shops and stuff downtown San Diego. I was like, okay, that seems really interesting. I'll go that route. I think, what we were talking about earlier too, it's like there's such a low barrier to entry that like if I, if it did just like go down in a ball of flames, like just all fall apart, it's not like I'm in the hole for, $250,000 and like the rest of my financial life is kind of scarred by this. It's like, all right, I could pick myself up pretty quickly if it did just fall apart. But it was enough of a pill to swallow of like, all right, I need 20 grand to get this thing going. And all right, that's a lot of money at this point in time. So I gotta make it work. So yeah.
So you went to the bank. It sounds like you got a loan. Talk us through like those very early scrappy days, like building out the first cart. How did you get your first booking? How did you,
hmm
let anyone know that Viator Coffee exists and we can come serve you drinks? Like, how did you get it off the ground?
So we actually went with like a business line of credit instead of just a small business loan. That way, as we paid it off, we still had that much room, for credit that we could reapply to other things. So I felt like that was a good route to go. And then I had a buddy of mine who was willing to kind of go into it with me, and he didn't really have any coffee experience, but was willing to like put his credit on the line and help in any way he could. And he's still partner in the business today. But we both took out personal credit cards too, just to like, finish up, last finishing touches on the cart. And, oh, we actually need a trailer now. We got to buy, a trailer to tow the thing and all of this kind of stuff. So he was a big help in those early stages too. Um, and then, so I built the cart in like both of our garages. I would kind of transport it back and forth. And I knew working in coffee for a while, I knew what kind of equipment I needed. And did a ton of research. There wasn't a ton of like resources online at the time of like, all right, buy this kind of, you know, pump and you need this kind of water system and all that. So I just kind of like piecemealed it together and made it work and looked at Pinterest and a bunch of different resources to try and find some pictures or schematics of something to like put it all together and pieced it together and made it work. And it was like this Frankenstein moment in my garage. It's like the pump, it's working. The like, yeah, I don't know, all this stuff.
It's
It was so
alive.
funny. It's alive. And yeah, so we got it up and running and I had done I was like doing some music at a church in our area. So I was like, hey, we got Easter services coming up. I'd love to, offer this coffee cart, service for everybody coming in for church. And they were like, sure, why not? Let's do it. So that was our first real event. It was kind of a layup, but definitely, exposed a lot of cracks in the surface and the systems and all of that. And okay, like I'm leaking water everywhere. Like, what the heck is going on? Why is this happening? Oh, I got to think about this. I got to think about that. This thing needed to be tightened down, So it was like it was a rough event, but it, definitely set us up for success. So we got some connections even from that first event at my old church. Um, and because it was such a new thing in our area, like no one really knew what it was. No one knew what to expect. Like, wait, you're bringing, this like kitchen island on wheels with pumps in it and you have an espresso machine? Like, what? So I was like, tailoring my marketing and my pitch to like make it make sense for people and get people excited about it early on. And our first like real push was um doing a bunch of bridal expos and like little showcases, like vendor showcases for wedding venues or, different places like that. So, and that's still like part of, how we're getting more leads even today. Like that's still part of just like sourcing for us too. I have a bridal expo later today that I'm doing myself. So it's it's an easy way to like just get in front of people. There's still so many people that don't even know this service exists. And so just making great relationships with venues and getting on like a preferred vendor list or something like that like is a great way to get in front of people, and it costs usually nothing. Sometimes there's a small, all right, it's $100 to get into this showcase, but if you book one wedding, that's all paid for. Um, so yeah, we still do those today, and I think that was a great way to just make good vendor relationships too. So as they're fielding their clients and people are asking them like, hey, uh, they're doing photo and video for them, like, hey, do you know anybody that does coffee? Like, oh yeah, I met this random guy named Austin, who does a coffee cart. So they're even doing our sales for us in a sense, and then working with the venues as well is a great um, way to get leads, and then even that face to face with people too. And the beautiful thing is they're able to try your coffee right then and there too. It's not like, okay, I put all this money into Google ads or Instagram ads that they can't really experience what we're doing, and they're like, you're awesome, your coffee is amazing, you're gonna bring such a great experience to my wedding or whatever. So um yeah, it was a great way to get in front of people.
That's an interesting thing about coffee catering in particular, I think, is on the one hand, it's a harder, like starting a small business is hard enough, but
Hmm.
to your point, you're starting a business that most people don't even know it's a thing, right? So you have to not only like sell it, but educate people
Hmm.
what is coffee catering and what can it be like. Um, but the plus side to your point is that it's an experience and you can bring that experience anywhere. So basically just
Hmm.
your sales process can be like, look how cool this is, drink this drink. Like, you get the picture of what the whole product and experience is like,
Yeah.
even just as you're talking to you, as event managers talking to you, they can understand, oh, like this is amazing. I can bring
Hmm.
this anywhere. That's really
Hmm.
cool.
Yep.
So leaning into that seems really smart.
So you brought Frankenstein to life
Yep.
in 2018,
Hmm.
and you did you open your first shop in 2020? Is that right? Or
Kind of like crazy timing on that whole year. It's like
Hmm.
uh,
tough time to open a brick and mortar location.
so it was, I actually like, it hadn't even like grown to the point, like the catering business hadn't honestly grown to the point where it could just sustain a coffee shop on top of that. It was like, so just to set the stage here. So I had like sold my house in February. Um, my wife was pregnant. COVID hits in March of 2020. Like that's when all the shutdowns are starting to happen. My wife gives birth to twins in April,
Oh man.
and I'm running a bootstrapped like Frankenstein coffee cart, that's like we're doing a lot of events, but at the same time, like COVID just shut down everything. So I have no events now. And it's like, what are we gonna do? And um, I had done an event where the food caterer had a restaurant, like food hall concept. And, he was able to try our coffee right there and, just chatted with him in a bit of a lull moment at the event. And, so all of that stuff happened. Sold my house, COVID hits, twins are born, everything shut down. I have no catering events. And I get a random call from this guy that's like, hey, I have this food hall. The coffee shop we had in here is deciding to close. Like, they're not going to keep going. And we need a coffee shop to fill this space. Like, we have a ton of equipment and, I'd love to chat. So, me and my business partner got to sit down with him and chat through kind of our vision for what a coffee shop would look like, and he was like, I love it. This is um, a great space for that and a great opportunity. And um, yeah, so we just figured it out. We made it work. And so we started a coffee shop in the middle of COVID. um, and like we couldn't do any, like there's no sit down service, there's no, it's like hard to create any kind of experience for guests, but it was more just like get people in. We gotta um make a some kind of impact, so instead of people going to Dunkin' Donuts or Starbucks on their way to work, um let's get them to come here. And then there was a lot of we're in a downtown area, so there's some like condo buildings and apartment buildings and stuff like that. So pushing, delivery and all of that just to get coffee flowing to people in our town was like, that's our whole game right now, is just trying to get like sales at all. So
Mhm.
it was crazy. But restrictions started to open up. We could do events again, and the cafe continued to pick up business, and um, events just kind of skyrocketed from there. So as soon as people, I'm sure a lot of people saw this too, is like as soon as event restrictions lifted, like everybody and their mom wanted to get remarried and like,
Yeah.
do a real reception and like all this kind of stuff. It's like, okay, now finally we can all get together. So bookings were like kind of off the charts a little bit more than we had ever seen for that time, so we didn't really know what to expect even at that point, because it was such a slow moving process first getting into it. So as soon as we were able to do events again, it was like, oh wow, this is really busy. This is crazy. But it was a
Nice.
blast.
Did you have just the one cart at that point in time, or had you grown the fleet before starting the shop?
We just had the one cart,
Okay.
and I built this thing. It was like a behemoth, man. It was like I mean, it's still in operation today, but it's like a tank. It's
It'll
like
never go
7 feet.
down.
Oh no, no, as much as I try, it'll never go down.
Nice.
Um, but yeah, it's like 7 feet long. Thing I originally was like, we're gonna do more like long-term like pop-ups, and like we're gonna be in like long-term spaces, all right, we need a month of service, or whatever. So I built like a fridge into this thing. I built like way over engineered the power supply system, all of that for it. Like I was ready to like turn any space into a permanent coffee shop, essentially, you know? So,
Nice.
yeah, it was crazy. And early on, like I had, um, like the moment I knew to like quit my other job and make catering like a real thing, was like after that first event, like this did that event at my church, and I got a call from a library in my area that was like one of the biggest in the state, and they're just like, there's people here all day long, every day. There's people in and out. So I was like, it's not the sexiest location to, do this thing at, but hey, it's traffic and it's free, and I can charge people for drinks and, just get some, face-to-face time with people and brand recognition for people. So I was like, hey, we need a coffee supplier for 3 months, to come in and serve people coming in looking for coffee and baked goods and stuff like that. So that's what I did. I quit my full-time job. I was working in sales and just like, if there were an opportunity to really test this thing and try it out, like this is it. I got to try it. And, so I would work, 8 hours at the library and like super early in the morning, I'm baking baked goods out of my house and like wrapping everything and bringing it all there. And then I'd go work a wedding at night and take everything out, load it up into my trailer and go work another wedding for another 4 to 6 hours and have to bring it back to the library the next day and do it all over again. And it's grueling, but it was like, that's what I feel like we needed at the very like beginning, the inception of it all to like just get some legs under us.
Dude, you were hustling, man. Was
Yeah,
it, did it feel fulfilling? I mean, I'm sure it was exhausting, but the work and the interactions with the people.
for sure, man. Yeah, it was super fulfilling, and I was kind of like blind to it's like the puppy love stage of like business, or like any relationship where you're like, you're amazing. Everything is amazing. This is perfect. I love every second of time I get to do this. And I also had like a wife and 3 kids at that point. So it was like, or my relationship with, my family is like they're super supportive and had my back the whole time and knew that, this was a really important step in the journey of this coffee shop. And they were like, we got your back the whole way. So I was super blessed and thankful for that. But it was certainly grueling and exhausting to say the least, but my cup was overflowing at the same time.
Yeah, Zach and I
Yeah.
were just talking about that on the podcast he mentioned. One really amazing thing about building a business is you get in what you get out what you put in, and there's kind of
Oh,
this very direct connection, right? Whereas if you're working for somebody else, it's kind of you can work your butt off and give it all the time in the world and end up with some sort of meager title or pay increase. Whereas if you really
hmm
grind, like you could double, triple your business in a short period of
hmm
time. Because of that, it makes it really addicting to kind of pour everything into it. And so I
yeah,
too, with a wife and a couple kids, like it's a balance. It's this figuring out because I love spending time with them and want to invest in them, but I love building this business too. So yeah, it's
yeah.
a
And no one
constant
else is
thing.
gonna do it for you too
Yeah.
at the same time. So it's like if what you put in, you'll get out, and no one else is like putting work into it. It's like it all kind of relies on you. The success of this thing is really reliant on what you're willing to put in. And now, thank God it's at the point where it's, more self-sustaining and I can be a little more strategic and have more boundaries and life balance, but if I hadn't put in that, those grueling hours early on, I wouldn't be here to do that, to be where I'm at now. So, it's kind of necessary evil, and I'm just thankful again to have the support that I did early on.
So let's talk more about where you're at now. I think it'd be helpful to so we painted a really clear picture of the early days and that grind
hmm
where you were part-time pump engineer and part-time, working at the library and working at the, hauling around the cart to the weddings and pouring cappuccinos at night. And then
hmm
now, you have one retail location, right? Or
So we have
multiple? Yeah.
Yeah, so we have one main coffee shop location that kind of serves as HQ for everything. We also acquired another coffee shop, more of a sandwich shop, kind of close nearby, that serves our coffee, and it's still an extension of our brand, different name, but it's still like the same level of quality and care that we put into everything that we do is represented there as well. And then we last year, around February of last year, we were able to acquire like a coffee roastery that had been in business for 10 or 11 years nearby us. That, was an amazing husband and wife couple that kind of like myself had kind of bootstrapped this thing and built it from the ground up and got it to a point that, they were comfortable, passing it on, passing the torch to somebody else. And so we were able to partner with them and um, kind of honor their legacy of the labor of love that they had put into it and built, and the reputation that they built in the community is like a coffee company that's all about quality and the relationships and stuff like that. And that was like just right in line with who we are. And yeah, so we started roasting our own coffee as of last year, and I've been doing that since then. And it's been super fun. It's super cool to like just really nerd out on all of those details too.
Yeah. And then on the catering side, how many carts and how many events now?
Yeah. Catering now has 5 carts. So I built 2 extra carts, and then in that roastery acquisition, they actually had some like small coffee carts that they were doing some like small events with, and they had a nitro cart. So that was kind of part of the acquisition too, that we were able to get basically 2 coffee carts as part of that acquisition too. So we have 5 carts now and are just rocking and rolling there. Last year was 100% growth um, from where we were the previous year. And then this year is already 60%, 68% up from last year too. Just rocking and rolling.
Dang, that's awesome, man. And so
Yeah.
what does the future hold? I mean, it just continue. Are you looking to just continue growing the catering program, or launch more brick and mortars, expand outside of Chicago? Like what's your vision?
Yeah, I think for catering, like I actually listened to, it was one of the first Flashquotes podcast episodes on like what level coffee caterer are you at? And that like definitely put into perspective kind
Mhm.
of like some opportunity for growth or what's next, just casting some vision for what that can look like in the future. And, so we're looking at um potentially bringing on some other cities to expand, put a team in. I don't want to throw any cities out just yet, but yeah, so we're kind of looking at that as an opportunity for people. But um, how we play with like how we expand the cafes and things like that um, is is a little more delicate because it's such a saturated area, and like we want to make sure that where we're going, anywhere we put a cafe is going to be um, like an underserved area that we can kind of build something really special in, and contribute to the that community, and not just like another distraction, another coffee shop to compete with, all the others that are already there. We want to do something different in these communities. It's we'll find the right spot and the right time for that, but as of right now, we're comfortable with the 2 that we have.
Yeah. Yeah, just what a throwback. So Flashquotes podcast episode 1 for anyone who hasn't listened to it. Go listen to that episode he was just mentioning. But just to recap from that, if I remember, the 5 levels of coffee catering, according to Justin, are level 1 is like side hustle, right? It's not even a full-time income. Level 2 is when you quit your job and become a solo operator of a coffee cart where you're doing everything, like pouring the drinks and doing the sales and everything. Level 3 is when you can start building out a small team, and ideally, as the business owner, kind of focus more on sales and growth while you have baristas that go serve. And then level 4 is dominant in your market, the clear leader, and have a strong brand in your city. And then I think level 5 is multi-city expansion. So it sounds like you're 4 knocking on the door of 5 at the moment on the catering side, and that's to say nothing of your roasting and retail business. So that's pretty awesome, man.
Yeah, that is killer, dude. And I think you mentioned in shout out to the school community, Flashquotes community of like-minded entrepreneurs. You're awesome on there, by the way, Austin. Like you're always jumping in and engaging with people. I'd totally love to see that because I know about software and building a product in that space, but less so boots on the ground with event businesses. And so for us, like we just wanted it to be a community where we're actually the true experts in each space, whether it's coffee, bar, photo. I can kind of share what's working, what's not, and answer questions. So thanks for all your participation there. But I know you did a little shout out just to the 5 carts that you had acquired, or you acquired the 2, you built the 2 from the 1, all 5 deployed, like same day out there? Like you're this logistics guru with all your carts then just rocking and rolling. Tell us about that day. What happened? How'd you get to that?
I think that was like a whole week of like 5 carts out at events every day. And then we had a 6th event that was just like cold brew and brewed coffee and stuff like that every day too. So it was insane for an entire week. And it all goes to the testament of like Flashquotes and the event brief and making sure that your teams are confident on all of the details, and the clients feel confident in what they can expect and their services that they paid for and are should be receiving. And there was uh only like maybe 2 events out of 40 events in that week that like, oh, we forgot a carafe of brewed coffee or something small, but for the most part it was like like clockwork. It was so crazy just to like, be behind the scenes and just like master orchestrator of like all this like random stuff. And it was like, man, Flashquotes is
Mhm.
insane. And we would never be in this place to be like running 40 events simultaneously in a week without, what Flashquotes is able to provide. So I will, sing the praises of Flashquotes till I die, because this is like
Yeah.
it's such a leg up. It's such a resource, and just I think my greatest weakness is maybe like effective like communication all the time. And when there's like all these events and stuff like that, it's hard to like know who needs to know what at what times. So creating a place where people can all kind of view at their leisure and be brought up to speed with like what they need to know is like it's crazy. It's insane. So yeah, I'm just super
Mhm.
thankful for you guys and the system that you've built, and it's like definitely propelled where Viator is going, and I know it's the same for a lot of other companies too, where we're going in the future. So
That's awesome to hear. I think you mentioned your weaknesses and your strengths. Like one of your strengths to me, Austin, is you seem really oriented around like process and trying to make sure that you know there you have good systems in place. Like you and Justin
Mhm.
kind of share that in some ways, like a real strong love and belief in good systems and try to think through the logistics of how people and things get from place A to place B, and everything happens. That's not everyone's strength. Like there's other people we've had
Yeah.
on the pod who maybe their superpower is sales or something, whatever. But maybe you're great at sales too. I don't know. But I've noticed that you really care about the details and like making sure that stuff is organized and works well.
Mhm.
You were when we first met you, you were a 17 hats power user, and you squeezed more juice out of that software than any anyone I've ever seen or known. Like that, it was amazing. Like how much you would leverage like customizations and settings and configurations and integrations, and like built this little machine. You could be a great software developer if you wanted to be, if you wanted a second career later in life. But Yeah, maybe just speak to that, like how your brain works and how you think about, the process in your business and how the tools that are working for you well to kind of pull it all together.
Yeah, I mean, I want to. It's like there's all these like sayings around like, if you're gonna take whatever that saying is like, if you're gonna take 3 hours to cut down a tree, the first 2 hours of sharpening the axe, so that it's like as effective as possible. And then, I work smarter, not harder. It's like I want to always, I see the problem, I see the issue that we're experiencing, and it's like a puzzle to me, like to try and figure out how I can make things run effortlessly or as effectively as possible without me having to like micromanage and like do every little step for people. I want to be able to set systems in place and reinforce those and trust and verify that the things are being done to that standard so that it's less work on my back, to like constantly have to go back behind people and, you know, they didn't do this thing, so I have to go back behind them and, clean up this or reorganize this in this way. So just like making sure that systems are in place and the expectations are communicated and then met for teams and for clients too. That yeah, it ends up being just a smoother, more effortless operation and system for everybody, even like baristas that are coming into it that aren't, aware of the grueling hours and the blood, sweat, and tears that you've put into to this thing to make it really operate and function. It's like I want them to be able to step in as easily as possible and just know what to expect and just crush it. They shouldn't have to be stressed about like, oh crap, I have to grab this thing and that thing and where's this like random portafilter that I need or this like random bar tool. It's like, no, it should all be in like consistent place every single time. They know what to expect. They uh, people talk about like the mental load that we have to carry around all the time and as we're making decisions throughout our day, it's like I want to make being a part of Viator and doing a catering event with us is like, as much or as little mental load as possible for you to like just, all right, check your event brief on your phone, see what you need to do, what you need to wear, here's all of the details, here's the loading dock instructions, where you need to go, and you know, all of that information is all in front of them, and then they can show up to our shop, and everything is prepped for them. Everything is ready to go. It's all labeled. It's all really pretty and, nice and neat for them, and they can just load it all up and get on the road and make it as easy because running the event alone is a lot, can be a lot, with, loading dock procedures and trying to get into a space. And then, there's all these details that we don't even know going into a space that's like, oh, now the ramp for the coffee cart isn't gonna make it up this little ledge, and now you got to figure out how to finagle the cart up. And, there's all these little things that even as like logistics and sales people don't even realize that our frontline people are having to go through. So they've got a lot to think through just to provide an excellent service on their own. So making sure that our part in their job is like as effortless and like smooth and consistent as possible is like really key. So now, I've transitioned out of 17 hats, thank God, and working with Flashquotes and the Zapier automations and integrations is like such a powerful tool, like building shifts in our, scheduling software. We use Connect Team and it's super powerful and awesome too. But, you know, um, and then with my CRM, we use Close like a lot of people too. It's like there's a lot you can do in that too. So it's like, all right, it's not just flash quotes now, it's also Connect Team. What automations can I set up in there? What ways can I systematize things to make it as robust and seamless and easy for everyone involved, including myself. I'm more in like the sales seat these days, but all of my initial quotes and all my follow up and text messages and all this kind of stuff is all pretty automated at this point. So it's all kind of running itself. And I just, keep the wheel spinning in different places from time to time, or I have like rhythms in my sales process to like, all right, stop and call them. So they have like, they recognize your voice. They know that you're talking to a real person and stuff like that. So it's like, there's some human touch points that I intentionally build into my sales process that keeps it feeling real and not just like they're just going through this automation with a website. It's like you're dealing with real people. And so, yeah, it's that I find a lot of fun and like joy in that is like kind of being um, presented with this puzzle and like, all right, what are the tools at my disposal that I can kind of like make it do what I want it to do and make it work, So there's like a level of just resourcefulness and being able to pivot and change and it's like I'm really into like board games too. So like I love like strategy board games. It's like such a mental like exercise for me to like, all right, I have this kind of player and these are their skill sets and this is what they can do. And I'm like, it sounds super nerdy, but as a business owner, it's like this is like a business exercise, to like learn how to think on your feet and like problem solve on the fly. It's like it's super fun. So
Yeah. You're speaking to a couple of former gamers or current gamers too. We often talk about the analogies between World of Warcraft and building a business or other now these days it's more like tabletop games for us. But
yeah, same.
you hit on one point I really want to underscore, which because I think it's awesome. There's a book called The E Myth by Michael
Mhm,
Gerber. I don't know if you ever read it. It's a pretty popular business book.
mhm,
But the core lesson for me from that book is there's kind of three roles that a business owner can fill. There's like the technician, the manager, and the entrepreneur. And the technician is like the person who's obsessed with the coffee in your case, right? Like the person who's just really focused on how do we make the best cup of coffee we possibly can and get really obsessed in the details of that.
mhm,
And then the manager is the person who organizes the systems and ensures that like the trains run on time and everything, and that the business can execute and operate at a high level with optimum efficiency. And then the entrepreneur is like the visionary, like where are we going, why are we here, what's our mission, what's our vision, and what is Viator, and how are we going to help it grow and achieve its powerful end state or whatever. So the
mhm,
problem that a lot of people run into that he talks about in the book is that by definition you always start as the technician when you're starting out a business. You're always like doing the work with your hands, getting stuff, doing the minute details. And a lot of people are really comfortable with that role. They like it. They kind of gravitate towards like the actual hands-on of the work, the actual making of the coffee or nerding out on the coffee in your case. And they struggle to as the business grows, they struggle to wear the manager hat and the entrepreneur hat enough, and to be, to challenge themselves to be, to get out of the technician role and to be the visionary and the operations person that the business needs as it grows. So I think that's something you've done really well, and it's just the explanation you just gave talks about speaks to how you really thrive in thinking about the higher and higher levels of the business and how you really lean into that. And I think the growth of your company kind of speaks to that, for sure.
I still find myself like as I'm sitting at my desk and like cranking out emails or building out a Zapier integration or something like that, I still find myself like I'll turn around and like see the bar and it's packed and people are making drinks and big smiles all around and just loving it. And I still miss that, I still love to serve people really well and the love for, hospitality and service and all of that is still definitely a part of everything I do. But it's like it's more now, it's like what's the highest ROI I can get on my time and my energy. And sadly, it's not cups of coffee for people as much as I love that and still love to serve people. I try and implement that same level of care and service and hospitality now to answering emails and like, kind of trying to go above and beyond in that element. and, building systems that last and systems that serve my teams and care for them. It's not just, how well we're serving the customer. It's how well are we serving in leadership? How well are we serving the people directly underneath us? Are we meeting their needs and anticipating their needs and what they need to succeed, um, you know, going throughout their day so that they can serve your end guest really well too.
Well, just as we wrap, I think you mentioned the levels of coffee catering. I'm assuming you feel like you guys are in a four position, like dominating in Chicago, right? Come on.
Yeah.
Yeah. What if somebody is feeling like, hey, I'm starting to work on my business, not in it. I'm kind of making that transition to from 2 to 3, or I'm in 3. I'm starting to build a team, but I really want to dominate in my market and be the go-to option. What would just be some parting insights that people could execute on to make that a reality?
I think it comes back to like your follow-up game. And, it's not enough to serve a corporate client one time and then lose touch with them altogether. Like you gotta continually I have rhythms built that's like, all right, every 90 days or every 120 days after we did an event for someone, like they're getting another email like, hey, that was so fun. We had such a blast serving your team. We'd love to, work with you again. Is there any other opportunities we can, work together again? So just like the referral game, the like repeat business, um, especially with corporate clients, like they're doing stuff like that all the time, and it's a lot more affordable for them to do something like this than it is like bring in a food caterer all the time because that can get way more expensive than what we're charging usually. But bringing in a coffee cart every quarter or every 6 months or something is like, yeah, let's do that. That sounds great. So just like making sure that you're you're following up with people really well and providing a consistent, like really great service for them so they can know that every detail is going to be hit out of the park and their teams enjoy it. And as well as like, um, I think when you're trying to get to the point where you're working on the business and less in the business, it comes down to like effective training and casting vision for people of like, all right, this is our mission, our vision, our values. This is who we are as a company, and this is what we're trying to really see uh, in the world or in the business, landscape that we're in, and just casting vision for people so that they are kind of ambassadors for you, and they're like little owners out in the field. They have the vision of what they're accomplishing, and it's more fulfilling, and you're training them really intentionally to like really um like problem solve and provide a great service and great products in the field too, so that again it kind of irks me when I get a email from a client or someone on the bar even is like, hey, I really want you to be at this event, like instead of like your baristas. It's like, all right, that's an area that I could grow in and I could train my team better. It's like, um, they should be doing the same quality of service that I'm providing in the field. So I don't know if that helps, but
Yeah.
just trying to stay locked in and not get distracted and not too far ahead of yourself and like vision, where we're going, but then forget about what's right in front of you
Cool.
too. Yeah.
All right, I got some lightning questions on my mind. Uh, favorite instrument that you play, or maybe you only play one?
No, I think honestly my favorite is bass. I
Slapping the
play
bass.
yeah, yep. Like it's really easy to be okay at bass, but it's really difficult to be like an exceptional bass player.
Yeah.
And I like, yeah, it's super fun. And I'm just the fat like root, like all the all the rhythm. I love it. Super fun.
Last time you played bass?
This past weekend,
Nice. Doing
yeah,
what?
I was playing at my church. Yeah,
Cool.
yeah.
Favorite board game?
Ooh, I would maybe say right now is Scythe.
Yes,
We've
I've played
played it.
that.
Yeah.
Yes, it's so fun.
That's a good one. A lot of good replayability with that one.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Nice. What are you guys roasting? What's your favorite roast right now from your new roaster?
Um, I mean, I think everybody says this, but like Ethiopian coffees just really pop and really shine. Like lighter roasted, super fruity, floral, Ethiopian coffees are just my jam. I just can't get enough. So we have a really, really sweet, washed Ethiopian that is just really, really delicious.
Nice.
What
Wow.
coffee do you make
Yeah.
yourself every morning, or your team makes you?
Yeah, we get like a staff bag. It's just kind of
Yeah,
like a rotating kind of thing from the roastery, and
yeah.
I just brew it up on my fellow Aiden at home, and just yeah, love it.
Awesome. Well,
Yeah,
thank you, Austin. Really appreciate your time, man. Great talking to you. Good
yep,
insights for the community. Thanks for being a great partner with Flashquotes and being awesome in that school community. Um,
yep.
for all the folks out there, if you want to, run 5 carts at the same time and just be, managing it from afar, you heard from Austin himself. Flashquotes is the way to go. So we're always available. Hit us up online. We'd love to talk to you and be a part of your business growth. And my apologies to the wonderful city of Elgin, Illinois, for the hard G at the beginning of this call. I clearly need to do my research better next time.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, thanks,
Well,
buddy. I
thanks so much for
appreciate it.
having me, guys. Yep.